Welcome, folks,
to the farewell show
of Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening, I'm Jackson Rowland with Christian Andrade, and as you can see, we have two anchors on deck today.
That's right, folks, double the anchors. This boat is not going anywhere, so you can take off your life jackets and enjoy the ride. This year on Newsource, voted on categories like Best Reporting, Best Feature Story, and of course, we were both nominated the Best Anchors.
It's almost like we're a dynamic duo.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm Batman and you're Robin.
Why do I have to be Robin, though?
You just kind of give like Robin vibes, you know?
Okay, all right. We'll talk about that after the break. Anyways, we'll have a great show for you tonight, and our staff is giving an inside look of the newsroom, all the ins and outs of what makes a great show.
But before we get into the live broadcast, our day starts on digital with something we like to call the Grady Daily. So every anchor this semester was in charge of making an Instagram reel with top headlines of the day. The goal? To give our viewers what they need to know ASAP.
Our winner for the Best Grady Daily, Ryan Lynch, shows you what it looks like from behind the camera, Vogue style. Let's take a look.
Come in, come in.
Hi. So, Ryan, you won Best Grady Daily. What inspired you?
Actually, I'm constantly inspired by my classmates. I have two of them here with me right now. Christian, what do you have to say about the Grady Daily?
I would say just keep it brief.
Jackson?
Give the people what they want, only the best headlines.
Thanks, guys. Now, off to the classroom. Watch your step.
So, but Ryan, what about your secrets?
Can't reveal my secrets just yet. We have to go talk to the big boss first. It's a very busy day in the newsroom.
Ooh.
And finally, the big boss's room. That's me. Professor B, what do you have to say about the Grady Daily?
Was 3 things you need to know as you start your day. And we look for things that are really important, but also what our viewers cannot see anywhere else. So we could cover local elections, or we could even cover a festival for the kids.
Thanks, Professor B.
Ryan, will you please tell us your secrets now?
All right, if I have to. For the Grady Daily, just show what you're telling about and definitely tap into your creativity. I'm Ryan Lynch, and that was your Grady Daily.
Woo!
That was definitely the best one.
That was great.
Thanks for the tips, Ryan. Hey, Jackson, you know what I was thinking?
What?
What if we were MJ and Pippen instead?
Well, that depends. Which one am I?
Well, obviously I'd be MJ.
See, man, here we go again. You're always doing
All
this.
right. Well, speaking of dynamic duos, each story we do here at Grady Newsource has to have at least 2 sources.
The winner for Best Overall Story, Juliana Russ, is going to walk us through the importance of characters in her stories. Juliana?
Thanks, guys. This semester, I worked hard to hopefully leave a lasting impression on our viewers by telling important stories. That's what journalism's all about, right? But what you may not realize is that the people I met along the way also left an impression on me. Here on Mount Rushmore, I've highlighted just a few of the memorable people from my reporting this semester. First, Tanner Green. While covering Oconee County's relief efforts after Hurricane Helene, I met Tanner and his wife. They have family ties in North Carolina and had a personal connection to the hurricane victims. They took multiple trips up to North Carolina with food and other supplies, even organizing on Facebook to help gather donations. They're an example of people taking action in a time of need, and I thought it was so powerful. I also enjoyed meeting the Bono family. Dallas Bono is the head of the Collective Artists Workshop in Oconee County. His wife and 2 kids were actors in their debut production of Little Women.
He's such a passionate man who is always willing to put everybody else above himself, and that means his family.
He's been wanting to do this for so long, and I'm just beyond proud of him that he's finally been able to do this and has involved the whole family in it.
It was so special to see this family come together and produce something for the whole community to enjoy. Finally, I had a lot of fun meeting Amanda Hodge, who displays a 12-foot skeleton in her yard year-round. She named him Skelliot. I love meeting people who are trying to bring joy to their community and have fun doing so. People are really the heart of every good story, and these are just a few of the people I met while covering Oconee County. It has been a privilege to share their stories. I want to thank every source that gave me their time, energy, and thoughts during this semester. My reporting and Grady Newsource would not have been possible without you. Now, I'll hand it back to our dynamic duo.
Thanks, Juliana. And sometimes getting sources takes VIP access. Wait, you have 3?
Yeah, bro. That's why I'm MJ. All right, anyways, the winner for Best Political Story, Riley Kehoe, used her press pass to go to some pretty cool places.
Let's take a look.
Dear future Grady Newsource students, get ready to unlock new opportunities with your Grady Newsource Press Pass. In the first week of class, you'll receive this badge, which represents journalistic credibility, an essential tool allowing you to access stories and sources that will enrich your reporting this semester. Your Press Pass identifies you as a journalist and can open doors, sometimes quite literally. Don't hesitate to introduce yourself as a student reporter when reaching out to sources. Many professionals admire your ambition and may be more willing to talk. For example, I got the chance to cover both the Donald Trump and Kamala Harris rally. I just reached out to the head of their communications teams, explained my role, and shared how eager I was to report on these high-profile events. It worked. And here's the key. Follow up. Even when initially rejected to cover the Trump rally, a follow-up email did the trick. The person I reached out to was a former journalism professor, and they appreciated my persistence and passion, ultimately giving me access. So future reporters, remember, just try. The worst they can say is no, and sometimes that will turn into a yes if you express your dedication and your ability to make the most out of every opportunity granted to you.
Man, Riley, you are the GOAT of press passes. Kind of like me, MJ. Right, Scotty?
Yeah, whatever, man. Riley used her passes to win the Best Political Story, but the winner for Best Board of Elections Reporter goes to our very own Ethan Wright.
Ethan, take us behind the scenes of what it looks like to cover an election.
Grady Newsource happens every fall semester, but presidential elections only happen once every 4 years. This semester, one lucky student was given the opportunity to cover arguably one of the most prolific elections in this country's history.
Did you just say I was lucky?
Every week, Newsource reporter Ethan Wright reached out to local elections officials, political analysts, and concerned voters to package together political information he hoped would inform the masses. The task, though proven necessary, wasn't always easy.
I mean, yeah, it is super stressful, but it's like very important because if I don't inform the people, then the people will make uninformed decisions.
Election season is busy for everyone. Voters are doing their research, politicians are running their campaigns, and elections officials are getting ready for voting to start. But the job has to be done. Not just because it has to be, but because people need it to be.
One second, I gotta take this as a source.
Oh, okay, what are you working on now?
No, this is for a story I was working on last month. Yeah.
Ethan struggled some days, but for the most part, he managed. He covered topics from voter accessibility and voter challenges to transportation plans and partisanships, always trying to provide timely and factual information.
No, it's definitely not an easy task. I don't even know if there's a task harder than this one, but you just gotta keep showing up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta stay calm. What WWBD? What would Braun do? What would he do?
Reporting on elections, it's a serious job, but for one student, it's a lesson in endurance.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Would you do it all over again if you had the chance?
Right. I mean, it's definitely not an easy task. I actually don't know if there's a task harder, but you just gotta keep showing up. You gotta keep making those phone calls, keep sending those emails, I mean, hey, the drive might be 5 hours round trip, but you just gotta keep showing up, You gotta stay calm. WWBD, what would Braun do?
Okay, yeah, cool, but the question.
Yes, I would do it all over again, 100%.
Reporting from Athens one last time, Ethan Wright, Grady Newsource. Back to you, Shaggy and Scooby.
Attaboy, Ethan, man. Great job this whole semester. We'll have more from these meddling kids after the break.
That's right. I'll be in the newsroom with our top reporters to talk about how they covered their beat this semester. Stay tuned.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
The Dutch. Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
At the top of our show, we gave you a behind-the-scenes look at how our reporters cover their news all semester. With us now is a panel of some of our beat reporters, of which our class voted to have covered their beats the best. And so now they'll give you some advice on how they cover their beats and give you an inside look as to what it takes to develop those stories throughout the semester. And so, Sarah, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I was awarded the Best Board of Education reporter, and I covered education in Oconee County. And I think it was just a super fun time. Sometimes you got to cover some of those more lighthearted stories, which was really fun to discover those little bits of life in those counties with the kids in the school system. Some of my favorite stories were like the 9/11 memorial that a school did, how they implemented school resource officers into their school after such tragic events, farm to table awards, and how kids were making food for their school itself, and even like food for kids, giving food out to the community. I just had a lot of fun covering this, and you just have to be really careful, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm Elizabeth. I covered Barrow County Commission, which is basically like their local government. So not always the most visually interesting, so I really had to think outside of the box when it came to covering my stories. I covered everything from a second tax being sent out to Winder City residents to an overpass being completed after being delayed for an entire year. So it really taught me a lot about covering stories that necessarily aren't that visually interesting, but they're important stories to tell.
Hello everyone, I'm Noah Bice. I was voted Best Police Beat Reporter. I covered Athens-Clarke County crime, so it was a pretty busy beat most of the time. I worked on stories like car break-ins, sexual assault, floodings, but even worked towards some education efforts that are being done by the local police department here to give students opportunities in the area.
All right, and I am Ethan, and I was awarded the Best Elections Beat Reporter this semester. We had a presidential election this semester, as you all know, and that made things very busy, but I was able to cover things from disabled voter accommodations to a lot of different things, and I even got to do a fun stand-up on roundabouts, you know, so there was a lot to cover this semester.
And you all did a great job covering your beats all semester, and of course the class voted for you, but what advice would you have if you had to go back to the beginning and do it all over again?
I'd give 3 words of advice, focusing most on the third one. So you have to stay patient, and you have to plan, and then you have to stay diligent. But most importantly, I think is that patience and persistence part, because elected officials are very busy, especially during an election year, especially when they're setting up for a presidential election like we just had. So you have to know that these people are very busy. So maybe if you're going to reach out to them 2 days in advance, maybe give them a week instead. Maybe give them a week and a half, whatever it takes to make things a little bit easier for them to be able to work with you. But alongside that patience, you also have to know that sometimes they're not going to have time. They're going to be very busy, but you have to have that ability to say, okay, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to make this second story just as good as this first one.
I think my advice is probably more for anyone who ends up getting this beat going forward. But in the crime beat, you talk to people on some pretty bad days, and often their worst day. And if it's not on their worst day, you're talking to someone about their worst day. So at the end of the day, it's really important to remember that these people are people. They are not just sources. And with a really tight deadline that we often find ourselves in, even with just 2 shows a week, you can sometimes forget to just slow down and listen. And when you slow down and listen and treat these people as human, you really get to hear them open up, because especially on their worst day, you may be the first person that they've spoken to about an event. And at the end of the day, it's just be extremely empathetic, be a human, and talk to these people like they're your grandmother, and just be there for them in the moment that you get to share with them.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of bounce off what Ethan said. Plan ahead. I cannot tell you how many headaches I saved myself from just being ahead of the game and knowing what stories I wanted to cover a couple of days in advance. I was commissioned, and obviously you're dealing with local officials and government, and they have their schedules planned out days, weeks in advance. So if you don't go ahead and reach out and get on their schedule, they're not going to be able to fit you in the day of class. So please plan ahead. You will save yourself so much trouble.
And piggybacking off of Elizabeth there, I think it is such an important thing to establish those sources ahead of time, and especially for the education beat, and really any beat, is you have to reach out to the communications person ahead of time, because you can't at the end of the day record anything or get those interviews if you don't establish that relationship. Especially in education, you have to get in contact with the PIO and be persistent. If they don't respond to you, keep on emailing, keep on calling, show up to the board meetings. You'll eventually hear from them, and that's how I got a lot of my stories, was by being persistent in that. And I think too, you can't even video anything on the school property or anything like that without permission from that, and you have to have parents' permission for kids to be in videos too. There's a lot of different people you have to talk to make these all possible. So make sure you're not stepping on people's toes, and reaching out to those people to have the permission so you can get all the video that you need to make the video stories that we do here in Newsource. So yeah.
Well, thank you all for that great advice to our future students, and of course giving our viewers some more behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to bring you the news all semester. But we'll now throw it back to the studio where Phineas will help give you a look at what it takes for the perfect live shot.
Thank you, Ferb. Now to our very own live shot queen. Faith James joins us live right outside of Grady College to give us some tips and tricks on how to give a great live shot performance.
Thanks, Christian. Reporting live in the field isn't easy as it seems. It requires a lot of teamwork, time management, and accuracy. My team and I have to leave the studio by 3:30 to get to the spot where our live shot will be, which means everything has to be done before leaving the newsroom. Once we get to the spot where we want to do our live shot, we have to set up our cameras, check our mics, and make sure we can hear the producer from the newsroom. Now, it's a bit complicated, but if you're lucky, and if it's done right, you can win the best live shot. Now, while I may have taken home the award, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to create a really good live shot. First, you need to make sure that you do your research. Now, I know this seems pretty obvious, but it's important to know what you're reporting and where is the best location for your live shot. And since we're talking about location, you want to make sure that you pick a really good spot for your live shot. Of course, you want your audience to be looking at you, but you also want to engage your audience with the surroundings around you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. You want to engage the audience as well with the characters that you interview. And it's also really fun when you have a great time interviewing them as well. Now let's take a look at the interview clip that awarded me the best live shot. It looks like everyone is really excited to be here at the Bat Festival. I am here with Myra and Sarah. You guys tell me, why did you decide to come to the Bat Festival?
We love bats.
You love bats?
Yeah.
What are you most excited about today?
The bats.
The bats? Yeah. What have you learned about bats today?
Bats gonna be awesome.
Bats are awesome. Now, that's all the time that I have today, but I want to thank everyone at Grady Newsource. Back to you.
Thanks, Faith, for your tips being on camera. Our reporters spend lots of time on camera, but not always live. A stand-up is like a live shot, but instead you have lots of takes and it's in your story.
The winner for our best stand-up, Keisha Chestnut, did a highlight reel of all of our standout stand-ups this semester.
This is where the magic happens. In a room full of reporters, making a video takes a lot of different moving parts, but adding a stand-up elevates it to the next level.
Just like this, make sure your stand-ups are very creative and also it adds to the story. Your background makes sense, your mic is on, and you feel confident. Now, let's take a look at some of our best stand-ups we have shown this semester. 13.1 miles is no joke, but for some people, they're running for a cause.
Only teachers can come get books at the Teacher Sneak Peek.
Property tax bills started arriving October 1st. Winder residents won't just be seeing one tax bill in the mail this year, but two.
Collins told me the project is set to be completed in Jackson County on Halloween.
Council makes bags just like the one I'm about to make right now.
If pumpkins are more your thing, head down to Millage Avenue Baptist Church for their pumpkin patch, open every single day through October.
Wow, those stand-ups were really good. But we don't always get it right on the first try. Here are some bloopers for y'all.
Grady Newsource reporter served.
Miss Athens Porch Fest, the 6th annual, and oh my God.
13.1 miles is no joke. Woo, especially for me.
Has spent all today transferring over 300 patients from Eggleston Hospital to here at Arthur M. Blank Hospital. They have used
Signing off for the last time with unforgettable moments and a lot of laughs. Your best stand-up, Keisha Chestnut, Grady Newsource.
Great job, Keisha. We've shown you some of our on-camera talent, but off-camera, there's some pretty important roles too.
Savannah Hernandez, our producer for today's show, is in the control room right now. Savannah, what has your day been like?
Hello, everyone. It's been a crazy but very fun day. I started the day leading our pitch meeting, hammering out everyone's story ideas for the day, and we got really creative with our segments. And then I came in and just helped make the magic happen where I could. I helped with anchor scripts, recorded our panel, edited packages, and of course, stacked the show in our rundown. But thank the Lord, I am type A because I would not be able to do this if I wasn't organized, and of course, without the amazing team of reporters. That's all for me, though. I have to get back to the control room, so I'll turn it back to our anchors in the studio.
Thank you, Savannah. When we come back, we'll see how the award winner for Best Weather Anchor, Melanie Levy, covers the 5-day forecast.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your award-winning weather anchor, Melanie, and I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered what it takes to do the weather? Let's take a look at what I see. That's right, all I see is a plain green screen, but I do have monitors on either side of me. And on these monitors is what you see, which is the 5-day forecast that I read off to you. Now, the tricky part is remembering which way to move because the camera is mirrored. So this is actually my right hand and this is actually my left hand. Now, how I figure out which way to move when I'm giving a weather report is by moving my left for 2 days. Then I might point and say something like, and on Thursday, break out your umbrellas because we'll have some showers with a high of 53 degrees and a low of 44. Then I'll walk over to my right for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'll point and say something like Saturday and Sunday will both have sunny skies with highs in the upper 60s and lows in the 40s. Then I usually move back to the middle for closing remarks. So it's tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. Weather reporting is all about being mindful of your movements and knowledgeable of trends. Now that you know how weather reporting works, we'll take a look at sports after the break. Thanks for watching. I'm your weather anchor, Melanie Levy, signing off.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. So you want to be a sports reporter for Grady Newsource? Come closer. Let me tell you, there's a lot that goes into it. If you want to be a sports reporter for Grady Newsource, you have to have knowledge on every single game happening before, during, and after the day's newscast.
And that's just the prep. You also have to write a script and make sure it's fully fleshed out and conversational. Fully fleshed out. That's not even all of it. As a sports reporter, you're also in charge of making your own graphics and make sure you don't use any copyrighted material.
As a sports anchor, it's more than just writing scripts and creating graphics. You're going to actually have to do some interviews. Now, in sports, these athletes and prominent figures get interviewed by award-winning journalists. Unfortunately, I'm not an award-winning journalist, but I do have an interview for you coming up right now. As we cover sports, there are often special moments where a game becomes more than just a game. And we see the sense of community and shared emotion it can bring us all. Earlier in the semester, Grady Newsource reporter Tori Newman gave us an inside look to when more than 4,000 people packed the stands in our Harold Harrison Stadium to support the Appalachia football team, showing up in full force as they took on Jackson County in their first home game since the school shooting on October 4th. Tori now joins me to tell us more about extending sports coverage beyond the stats and on-field action.
Thanks, Nigel. And you're right, there's so much more to talk about besides the X's and O's. Athletes are people just like us.
That's right, Tori. Now, first, what preparation did you do coming into this?
Yeah, after getting my credential approved, I made sure to do as much research as I could in both teams, getting familiar with names and faces. The more prepared you are, the better you can actually connect with the people you speak with. And walking into the game, I made sure to speak with administrators, staff, and people.
Now, this was obviously not a normal game just to try and walk into and cover. So can you tell me how did that have any impact on you when trying to tell the story?
Absolutely. With the context behind the game, it was so important to respect the guidelines set up by the athletic director and their team. It was really important to not overstep. Media had to stay in the opposite end zone, and we weren't allowed to speak with the students.
And I hear you're able to get this exclusive interview that we have with head coach Mike Hancock after the game.
And those kids, they love to support us. And our football team loves them, and our cheerleaders. It was just a great atmosphere, just being resilient and just working and just playing with a lot of grit. And I think our kids showed that. First half, I think we're a little bit more emotional.
Now, an interview like that, I got to ask, how did you make that happen?
Well, I actually chased him down. I remember seeing him come out of the locker room, and I fully sprinted down the field with my camera equipment in tow. I introduced myself, we talked some, and after I asked if he was willing to do an interview. Thankfully, he said yes, because having his perspective was so important to truly communicate the team's feelings.
Thanks, Tori. That's just some of the moving parts that go into sports, but how does the Newsource team really feel? Coming up after the break, we have some confessions from our team.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Man, Robin, we've got such an interesting crew here at Grady Newsource. We need our own reality TV show.
Well, that probably won't happen anytime soon, especially since most of us are graduating in a month. But Grady Newsource reporter Colin Miller gives us confessionals from the fall 2024 Newsource team, reflecting back on a great semester and what we've learned.
As Newsource reporters prep for their final show, the energy in the newsroom is different than usual. After an intense semester covering the news, most students are spending their last day reflecting and reminiscing.
So I decided to sit some of them down in this chair to share some of their reflections with all of you.
Now that it's the last day and the energy is really great in the classroom, I realize how much I'm going to miss everyone because I really do love working with everyone.
There were some hard days for sure, but I would do it all over again if it means I could hang out with you guys some more.
I'm upset. I'm sad that this is our last show. I'm sad that, we've worked so hard and it's about to be over. I haven't really taken a step back to realize how much we've done, but I'm really gonna miss this class. This is probably my favorite class that I've had at UGA, and being here with everyone. It's a little bittersweet. It's nice to not be stressed out going forward in the future, but it's been a really fun semester and I've learned so much, and I'm just glad we're going out with a bang.
Like the weight of 1,000 suns has come off my back.
It is so exciting, a little sad, but very exciting to have my free time back.
Oh, I'm relieved. Like it was a fun class. I do love it, but yeah, I need that. Whew, yeah.
I am so exhilarated that this is the last day of class. This class has taken years off my life. I've definitely learned that broadcast is not for me.
And if those reflections didn't scare you off and you want to take the class, our reporters also have some advice.
This will accurately prepare you for everything that has to do with news. If you're not trying to do stuff with news, this is going to stress you out and you are going to be in a lot of mental and maybe physical pain.
Really challenge yourself and do some things that you haven't done before, and try to get as much of different content for your reel as you can.
As soon as you find your beat, reach out that day. Don't ask for anything, just a courtesy email to introduce yourself. And I think that that goes a long way instead of just reaching out when you need something.
Just be organized and try and have stories ready, but you will not always have a story ready, and that's life.
Just get the job done in the time it needs to be done. Do as good as you can, but not everything's going to be perfect. Not everything is going to win you an Emmy.
If you're coming into Newsource or you're thinking about it, just be open to really becoming friends with your fellow reporters and investing in those relationships.
Take the job seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Just try to get something out of every day and every opportunity that you have.
Be fearless. You know what you need for your story. If you approach sources with kindness and confidence, they're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to help you.
It can be difficult at times. It can be stressful, but you got this. You just got to grind it out. So yeah, just be persistent and keep a good head on your shoulders. You'll be okay.
And of course, we couldn't reflect on this semester without the person that makes all of this possible.
What I'm thinking about today is how far all of you have come. You continue to work hard to innovate, to take your job very seriously to the very end, where you produced a very sophisticated solutions journalism show, which was commended by an expert on that method of reporting. So I'm really, really proud of you. Thank you for all your hard work and creativity. And I will miss you a lot, and I wish you all the best.
For one final time, with Grady Newsource, I'm Colin Miller.
And now it's the moment that you've all been waiting for. The two of our classmates who received the most votes for Most Improved and MVP are...
Drum roll please, Robin. Keisha Chestnut for Most Improved.
And Elizabeth Hunter for MVP.
When people voted Keisha for Most Improved, they said, her packages are amazing, and she has really gained confidence over the course of this semester. Her camera work, writing, and on-camera presence have improved so much, and it's a joy to watch her. She has come so far in her editing, pitches, B-roll, interview shots, and broadcast writing. She came into the class wanting to learn, and it shows as the class has come to an end.
And for Elizabeth, our MVP, they said she is a star and standout in everything she does. She executes every role like a professional, and she sets an example for the whole class. Another said she showed up to every pitch meeting with fully fleshed out ideas and a willingness to pivot, go live, or do whatever the producer needed. Thirdly, someone said she's had insane live shots throughout the semester and great storytelling in her packages. I found myself often saying she's too good at this.
Big congratulations to Keisha and Elizabeth.
Thank you for all of your hard work this semester.
Well, folks, that's all the awards we have for our farewell show. But we want to give a couple special shout outs too.
That's right. We owe a big thank you to our tech team, and led by the one and only Mr. Andrew Todd, our senior production manager in today's show, Kira Mermelstein, and of course, our news director and the head of everything, Professor V.
They won't be as good as us, but make sure to follow along with our Newsource team in the spring. But for now, that's all for our final show on Grady Newsource.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start. The Dutch.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Your home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org